That song was called Bedlam Boys by Christina Linhardt. You know what time it is, folks. It's time for On the Grind with Doc Rio. And today I'm on the grind with another friend of mine and who has been basically gracious enough to invite me into their home. And here in their home, I mean, it's so lovely. I just get this lovely, I want to say golden feeling because it's got this damn,
That's right.
but I feel like golden, being here. So I just want to say that. Our next guest, though, is a producer, a director, a singer, an actress, a writer, a musician, and just an all-around great performer. She's been known to perform with her husband. His name is John, by the way, who's a talented videographer. And she's also been known to perform with several musicians, masters, and scholars, all alike. Our guest, Christina Linhardt, is a producer, director, and a composer of the documentary Guantanamo Circus, which has not only won a Hollywood Fame Award, but also won an LA Music Award and was selected for inclusion into the permanent collection of the Library of Congress. You know how important that is, folks? I mean, that's just big. So with several published songs, compositions, stage performances, radio appearances, and multiple performances on and off the screen and all around, Christina is also a staff writer for the California Philharmonic Orchestra. You still a staff writer?
Sadly, Victor Venner, the maestro Victor Venner, shout out to him, who founded the California Philharmonic, just passed. So with him went the orchestra, but until he passed, but yeah, he was a shout out to him. He was a legend, and he created so much with the California Philharmonic.
I didn't even know we lost the California Philharmonic.
Yeah, and it was the best studio musicians, and we'd play down at Disney Hall, and he would get the best studio musicians to come and play. So big loss for the arts.
Yes, big loss for the arts, and I can't believe it's not continuing on.
Yeah.
It couldn't continue on. Oh, well, I want to say welcome, Christina.
Thank you. Excellent.
And thank you again for inviting me to your home.
Absolutely. They get gold's important. They talk about the colors are so important.
You're right.
And I always love gold, and I feel like it just brings that positive energy.
Plus, your blood runs with cardinal and gold. That's
Trojan. Right. Fight on.
Fight on. We're doing a fight on that they never do before. But
I don't even know. I never went to a single football game when I was at USC. I was in the music department.
I know that's what you get stuck in your field.
Yeah.
And it's it's that world, because
Right.
we're really digging when we're at USC. I didn't think it was so intense as it was.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh yeah.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
just like when we were in children. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just as intense. So.
Yeah, and it's hardcore. But yeah, because at Cal Arts, I noticed they do a lot more cross-pollination with the departments.
Yes.
And I realized, wow, if I'd known. So this is to any young people who are in college, reach out to different departments. You never know.
You never know until you get to the
And not just the other arts departments, meet people, business people. And, a girlfriend of mine, she's an artist, but she married a judge. And all her friends are lawyers. And she's got a fan base now who can afford to come see her,
Exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of times when we cross-pollinate, you find out later that you end up cross-pollinating in business anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So you might as well start doing it at the beginning.
Exactly.
So that if you do go up to a master's and higher degrees, you actually are already ready for the field, because master's is just like work, real work,
Right,
So,
right. Exactly, because it all is music business,
it's music business, exactly. Right. So the first thing I want to ask is, I think, knowing that you've done so many performances and you've traveled all around the world and you perform with so many, I've seen you on photos with different people around the world, different stages and different maestros and different, people I've wanted to sit next to and just say, oh, can I just talk to you for 5 minutes? So how is it, for you, what's the most significant performance that you've had that you can, that really stands out to you, that really grasps your heart every time you think of it?
Oh, wow, that's hard. That's really hard. Because there's different genres. I have to say probably what the biggest thing for me ever was, and that was a long time ago, was when I opened a concert hall in Germany. And that was quite a few years ago, and they brought me in, my solo act, to open this concert hall in Dresden. And it was quite a big thing. But then also, I think about, because when you talk about these people I've met, for me, somebody once did my Chinese astrological chart, and she said, you're all about the elders. And it's true that I've always get to work with but older people who sort of veterans of the business. And so it was very exciting when I started. I was with a little tiki trio, and we were doing stuff that really wasn't classical at all and wasn't really my genre, but we were working with the Limelighters, so working with the original Limelighter, Alex Hasselhoff, and then also getting to sing with the Kingston Trio tenor. That was really exciting.
Wow.
Because when I was a little kid, it was only classical music in the house,
Right.
with the exception of 3 albums that weren't classical music. Otherwise, it was Mahler, Beethoven, Mozart, nonstop. It was Harry Belafonte, Bing Crosby, and the Kingston Trio.
Really?
So to me, the Kingston, not even the Beatles. So to me, the Kingston Trio was a thing, and Harry Belafonte. It was all
Well,
about
Harry Belafonte. Yeah, I mean, you can't.
You can't go wrong. But those are the only 3 non-classical albums in our household. Otherwise, it was nonstop classical music.
That is wonderful. I mean, that just kind of embeds you in classical music.
Yeah.
It's kind of like people like me. I felt like I had to kind of go around because like in our home there was funk and soul, and so when I got to classical, I was like, what is interesting. Oh, Mozart did what? Wait, Beethoven did what?
Right.
You know, and just finding out the history was just mind blowing to me. So I could see that. I could see that.
But you see, then I ended up really wanting to do more popular music. So. Isn't it ironic?
Yeah. Yes. So, okay. So that makes me ask another question. When you talk about popular music, what kind of, like, when you say popular, what? Yeah.
Because that's a big.
That's a big thing.
Basically, when I mean classical, I mean orchestra. Composers like Beethoven and Mozart and Mahler, and popular, I mean anything that is considered pop. And that's a big word, because if you talk to a radio promoter, there's pop, there's adult contemporary, there's, for us, it was anything that was, not orchestral or opera.
Okay.
So that's why, because a radio promoter wouldn't call Bing Crosby or Harry Belafonte pop, and Harry Belafonte.
But it was popular.
But it was popular, exactly. So anything that was, but forget about it. So I didn't like hear what was happening on the radio until I was in elementary school. Like, who's this Michael Jackson guy? And it was, so.
And so it's a whole transition for you.
Right.
You're just like, let's
weird.
dance a little bit. Oh, wait, I like the way this feels.
Yeah, and it's so funny because my heart really was more. I probably would have, if I had more of less classical background, I would have gone straight away into more rock and pop. But I have to say that I'm glad I had such a strong classical background, because then, I do opera in more popular shows.
Right.
And then you get to be sort of unique. And so that gave me a niche then to use.
Right.
But I really had to sort of catch up because it's just because something doesn't, like with singing, an opera singing takes your full instrument. Just because something isn't taking that doesn't mean it isn't hard. Like Brazilian music, I was working with some gorgeous Brazilian girls. We had a Brazilian group. Everyone dispersed. One went to Germany, one went back to Brazil. But Brazilian music, even though you're just using with your voice, those intervals, that's not child's play. It took me so long just to get those intervals and the rhythm.
And the
Right.
rhythm. Wow.
It's not written the way it's really played. You have to know that and feel that to really get it.
Yeah. It's like when we talk about, this whole idea, even in music, we've talked about for years in swing. Just in the idea of swing. Oh, how do you swing those notes? If you just read those notes and play it, and you're not swinging them, you're not going to get the feel.
Right.
So that makes total sense. I get
Right.
that. Wow, awesome. I know you work with several charities and associations across, across the world. I was going to say across the United States. So tell us about some of the particular charities and associations you work with and why you work with them.
So as far as just pure charity work, I started volunteering for the food bank, LA Food Bank, and now up here in Ventura, because when the pandemic happened in 2020 and everything got shut down, instead of arguing on Facebook like everyone did, I thought, well, I'm going to take what I'm concerned about and do something about it. Because I was concerned with shutting down that there's going to be kids who don't get their school meals and people are going to starve. And a lot of my friends didn't grasp that there are people in this world, in this town, in LA County, who are food insecure.
Yes.
And I said, we cannot. But instead of complaining, I just went so the food bank matters to me because nobody should go hungry, especially in this day and age and in this country, period. But anywhere we have this. So that and then I would also volunteer a lot for tree people because environmental matters to me and urban greening. But then so I'm leaving it for last. The most important thing for me is, and it's actually not volunteer, I'm hired, but it's a non-for-profit, the Imagination Workshop, where we use theater as therapy for people. It started in mental institutions, and now we work with unhoused PTSD veterans in recovery. It is the most amazing work of my life. And the vets are so deep. I work at the New Directions for Veterans, but also the VS90, which is really shelter living. They're coming right in either after being in the pen or right after living under the freeway. I cannot tell you how deep and smart and aware and intelligent and brilliant and creative veterans are. I mean, we're talking about somebody that you drive by, like you, but not you, but anybody out there, you might drive by and you see somebody in that wheelchair holding that cardboard sign. I've had those guys in there, and I cannot believe their awareness, their intelligence, their education. It's amazing. And so the vets also, once they decide to do the program, they let go and they have fun.
Good.
And we put on plays with them, plays that they write and they star in. And June 15th is our next one, June 15th, 2024. It's going to be called Dusty Trails. It was so funny because the vets came in and we all said, we're going to do Gold Rush theme. They're like, oh yeah, 1848. They all knew the date without looking it up. It's like, I didn't guys know this. I didn't know. I just knew Gold Rush 1800s. You know, these guys are so smart.
There's a lot of history ingrained in the military that's programmed into us.
The utmost, yeah. Thank you for your service. Utmost respect for vets. Utmost respect.
Yeah, and you've attempted to get me out to those events several times when I was doing a lot of driving, and I'm like,
I'm done.
yeah, I'm like, oh, I drive out there, but you know, I was always wondering how you were doing these events and how you're doing, you know, work and doing this and doing that and everywhere, but at the same time, I was like, wow, she's really dedicated to serving veterans, because the way you were telling me and the passion that was coming from your voice, I was, oh wow, I need to go see this.
Yeah,
and,
you gotta come.
Yeah, and even though I didn't get a chance to be right before the pandemic, because it was before the pandemic that you started telling me about.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I was like, okay, so when are we starting up again? So now you just told me.
Well, we actually had a couple. So you're more than welcome either to join or to come see it or to come film it or to talk to the vets or whatever. But yeah, and the thing with the vets, well, first of all, they get a lot out of it. And the one we have now, mostly alumni who are coming back, because New Directions was a recovery program, and you graduate, so to speak. And we have guys who are now, they've got their housing, they've got their careers, they moved on, or some of them are just now in a nice retirement space. And they're coming back to the play again because that's how much it meant for them. So they're getting a lot out of it, but I have to say I get just as much out of it because I learn from them, I feed from them, and the creativity helps me because, yeah, we talk about mental health, you know, I get depression, but I have to do gigs, you know, to make a living. And there were times in my life when I didn't want to get out of bed, but I had 3 shows to do that day, 3 dance shows for my career. And I had to. And then after the show, the energy was completely changed. I felt completely different. The depression was gone. And so that's why I believe in it, because I know how it helps me. And then I see it with some of these guys, and you know, we've had some serious success stories of guys who were really going downhill. Yeah. And they kept coming to the play, and you know, they are coming to do the workshop because I would call them and stalk them and get to like even drag them out of their beds and get to the and then it changed their lives, you know.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't understand that depression is a life. Like when you get severe depression, it becomes a lifetime. Yeah. I want to say a lifetime. I don't want to say a disease. I want to say a lifetime. You get lifetime depression is how we call it. And at the same time, when you get PTSD, you get lifetime PTSD as well. Right. And so you're working through both those 2 steps, and it takes those type of, like you just said for yourself, yeah, even though I didn't want to do it when I got there, it changes the whole feeling. Right. You know, and then it's the same thing with us in PTSD and depression across the board. I know that a lot of people are like, oh, cognitive-based, you know, treatment doesn't really, but it depends on how it's being done. If it's being done through something you enjoy doing, it just changes the world. And you're definitely showing more examples of that. And so I find that very interesting. So, I want to turn back because I want to come back to some of those thoughts you said right there, but I have those thoughts kind of saved for later. Okay. But I want to focus on your music just a little bit. You created several songs throughout the years, right? And I know this is going to be hard because this has to do with ones that stand out the most to you. So which songs really like stand out, even today, even if we haven't, if they haven't been fully produced yet, which songs really like stand out to you? Like when you're walking down the street and you're like, you keep hearing that song, because I know I do some songs like that. And they're just like later on, they're just ringing in your ear.
Right. Well, it's funny. So I produced 2 albums, Circus Sanctuary and Voodoo Princess, and those were a long time ago. One that the 2 that hit from those that I really think about, one is the Habanera. And so I took the Carmen Habanera, but then I made it a salsa cumbia. And we did this really cool music video with it, with Ron Jeremy. Now that's a name you don't mention anymore, but there was a time when he could. And then the second album we did a version of O Mio Bambino Caro, made it a little more sort of Kenny G, but I still got to sing in that range. But I have something upcoming called Volxtronic, and I'm doing it with a Eurovision. Yeah, I'm doing it with a Eurovision composer, or he's a songwriter, and again, it's kind of my signature. I always like to take folk tunes, things that are public domain, and then give them a new spin. And with Volxtronic, we're going a lot more in EMD, like into the electronic music.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, and much more electronic music, but still using these folk tunes, these German folk tunes. So I have to say, some of those just keep ringing. Like for the future, Augustin keeps ringing.
I didn't realize that was a German folk tune. I should have known that.
The one you heard then.
Yeah.
Yes. And then also we're doing another one, Musiden, which is Musiden, so steht der Lehnaus. And everyone's like, wait, that was Elvis. Because Elvis did Wooden Heart, which is based on, because he did that one German movie, and I think he was stationed in Germany. And
that's right. Wow. You made me think about something, and I know you said that, I said that I wanted to do a certain amount of songs, but I think I might want to take a pause for a second.
Okay.
And play a song that you just mentioned.
Sounds good.
Just a surprising song real quick. So for those who are watching live, you're going to miss out on this song until you come back and watch the main one. But we're going to go ahead and play Habanera.
Great. You can go to Spotify and look up my name and find the Habanera.
That song was Habanera by Christina Linhardt. Why don't you tell us more about Habanera?
Yeah, so that was the first track off my first album, and we're talking about 2002. Although the music video wasn't done until like 2008 or 2007. And that's a really fun music video. You just look up Habanera, Christina Linhardt, and Ron Jeremy. And what I love about that music video is that we just brought all my wonderful, interesting friends, because I work a lot with vaudeville lives. I work with these people who are professional magicians and clowns and belly dancers who do it now just for private parties. And it was so funny because the man, it was Pip Abrigo who made the music video, Pip Abrigo. And Pip was he was a Broadway dancer. He was in Miss Saigon and Lion King. And then he came to one of my parties, and even being a Broadway dancer, he looked around this party, he's like, these are some interesting people. He said, that's a video. He said, just invite your friends over, and that's going to be the video. So we did it. So it's a really fun video. And the song itself was just, first track off the first album. It really was just about love and about, I think I wrote it in a state of just sort of thinking about love as a whole process. Because that's what it's about in the opera. But I wrote my own words. Love is like primordial soup.
Wow. Wow. I mean, literally in the song you say that?
Yeah. It boils, it tingles, cooks. It comes in waves. You drink it up.
Wait, you do say that?
Yeah, you take your fill, but it's never enough. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was so funny because people want to know about how Ron Jeremy ended up there. Because even some of my friends said, is there something we should know about your past? And I'm like, look at me, and I'm not quite the market for that. But what was funny was because I was in this movie. It was a big fantasy movie called Dream of Alvarine that never got released, which is too bad. And Ron Jeremy happened to be in that movie because now Ron Jeremy plays himself, and it was a big thing for rock stars. I mean, if you look up how many people, I think even Britney Spears had him in her video. It was the trendy thing to do to have him in the video.
Yeah, he was in everybody's video, or on TV here, and
exactly,
everywhere. He was more of a celebrity instead of Ron Jeremy, the porn star.
Exactly, he was more about being himself because he sort of created that brand. And so it was a movie where I was singing O Mio Bambino Caro, the Puccini version, and the editor interspliced me singing that with a scene with Ron doing his traditional Ron Jeremy thing with somebody upstairs at the party. So, but so I remember then I ran into him at the NAMM show and I said, oh, we were in that movie together. And he's like, why don't they ever? He's like, why hasn't that guy released that movie? Why isn't that? And then he looks, he's like, oh, you're cute, sweetie. And somebody said, invite him to be in your music video. I didn't think he'd show up, but I got his number and I said, oh, this is my address. If you want to come, we're filming a music video. Halfway through the shoot, he walks into my condo and everyone's like, Ron Jeremy just came in. And so then we use him in the second half and it's really funny because the girls are giving us a button to the music video.
That's awesome. That's
I
awesome.
love it because he shows up. He was the kind of guy who showed up for everything. That's how he made his brand. He just showed up for everything. And one night he and I hung out. We went to Sunset Strip and we ran into Gene Simmons. We're hanging out with him and all these people. And people were stopping in the middle of the street. College boys and cute girls from Japan who were tourists. They all stopped in the middle of the street and said, oh, Ron, sign my, I love your work. I'm like, his work.
It's like, have you seen his work? Or do you watch his work? Is that true?
And it was like Gene Simmons looked at me. He said, are you kidding? You're hanging out with you're out with this guy? And I said, oh, well, we're just friends. We're not on a date. And afterwards, Ron said to me, well, you could have at least said we were on a date.
Oh, Paul.
And then and somebody says, Ron Jeremy needs to date to do what? And then a friend of mine said, he's a good Jewish boy. He's like,
right?
Companionship
right.
too.
Like, you're supposed to go on a regular date like everybody else. Right. I just, everything's in the bedroom.
Business is business.
That's funny.
I know.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now on the reverse of that.
Okay, right. Let's elevate. Let's get out the gutter.
I know we don't like every single song that we write. And sometimes our creations that we don't like still stick in our minds too. But other people might like them. You have any songs that like you don't really like that much, but other people are really liking it more? Or maybe not that you don't like that much, but it just doesn't inspire you as much. And other people really love it. And you're just like, why do you like that song? You know, you have any of those?
Well, one song comes to mind that. So my second album, I wanted to go sort of Little Mermaid, Caribbean and Jamaica, but meets Irish music. So I took some Irish music and I went to Jamaica and I got some inspiration in Jamaica. And so this one tune, it's my favorite Christmas carol, which is French. Bring a torch, Jeanette Isabella. And I went Caribbean and I hired Dave Shostak from the chamber music, from the LA Chamber Ensemble, but he had also played the flute solos on Little Mermaid. And I hired the oboist who had played the solos on Little Mermaid. But in that song, I used sort of like a Jamaican accent, a Jamaican lingo. And I realize now I could so far I haven't been, but I could totally get attacked for cultural appropriation for that, for being this German chick using a Jamaican accent. I never thought of that. And I wonder, is this ever going to come back to bite me? So far it hasn't, but it might, So full disclosure, I was just, I was approaching it more like musical theater, because when you're in musical theater, you put on accents. I put on a Cockney accent, for Eliza Doolittle. I'm not Cockney, So I wonder about that one. But another thing that you say, what was really funny, it's not quite this, but it's, so my Ave Maria has doo-wops in it. And some people thought that might be like stepping on hallowed ground. It was so funny at my old condo complex, there was this older doo-wop, Ave Maria, doo-wop,
Yes, it does.
But that actually got some airplay, and I actually got broke into the AC secondary market. But so there's this older gentleman who used to walk around my condo complex, and he said to me, the first time I heard that, I thought this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. He said the second time I heard it, I thought, I kind of like this. Third time, I bought it. Look, I'm listening to it right now on my iPod.
That's pretty funny. Well, my very last question is if someone or anyone wants to contact you about performing, creating, composing, producing, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube page. If you spell my name right, you'll find me. Christina Linhardt, Linhardt. I have LinkedIn. You can usually contact me through LinkedIn. Facebook, I still check those messages. Instagram, I check my messages. On my IMDb page, there's management there. I have a website that I haven't updated, so I don't know if there's any management information there. But social media, so I still haven't done TikTok, but Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, IMDb.
Name them where she's
Yeah.
everywhere.
And
you
then
know?
all my music, all the old stuff is out on everything that's streaming, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. Though I do encourage people, actually buy iMusic. If you really like something, just spend the 90 cents or the $1.99 and download it. Because streaming on Spotify makes you nothing, you know?
Yes, and I totally agree with that. That's one of the reasons why I like Apple Music, using Apple Music a little bit more.
Because that's what iTunes is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because you get a chance. I mean, because you get a chance to download it. Once,
Right.
you know, I mean, it's already in your library. It stays in your library.
Right, exactly.
Spotify
exactly.
is just
And you help the musician out because, you know, if 100,000 people did that, you know, that musician can eat.
Yeah. And we're gonna have links for all our songs and everything on here. So yeah, just to make sure all the songs that we shared here, so that you can go check out the rest of them. Yeah. And by the way, that's Linhardt.
You got it.
You know,
Yay.
because if you look and you spell it wrong, you won't find. Well, you'll find her, but you'll find other.
Right, right.
So-
Yeah, and people are always spelling it Linhardt with a
Yeah.
D in there. Although sometimes if you do that, it'll go to me, but you know, we'll see.
So I want, before we head out of here, you got one more song that we've talked about, and it's not out there. You can't just find this song out there, folks. So we're going to give you a sneak preview of a song that's not out there yet, and she spoke about it before. Why don't you set it up front for us?
Yeah, so this is our new project, Volxtronic, and it's Augustin. And Augustin is that old chant, da, 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 which was really about a real person. He was a troubadour. And he was a legend because he was drunk and he fell into a pit of bodies who had all died of the plague, the Black Plague, but he survived. And so everyone thought he was just mythical. And so then we created our whole song about it and went more electronica. So this is Augustin by Volxtronic.
Oh, du lieber Augustin, 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 oh, du lieber Augustin, alles ist hin.
Well, thanks again, Christina. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me in your home.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you're here. Yeah.
Well, folks, that's it for us today. Tune in next time as we'll be back on the grind. And I hope you enjoy your day. Peace. We're out of here.
Out of the catacombs, spiraling farther away from home. Take the new potion, the carriage of doom. It takes devotion to dig your own tomb. Born in this world without control. Nothing is yours, you don't own your soul. Oh, du lieber Augustin, 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 oh, du lieber Augustin, alles